The Galactic Imperium's first contact protocol was considered flawless. For 10,000 years, it had guided the Empire's expansion across the stars, assimilating countless civilizations into its fold. But Earth would prove different. Not because humans were stronger or more advanced, but because they had done the unthinkable. They had hidden their true nature from the watching eyes of the galaxy. High Admiral Zextal stood before the Imperial Council, his crystalline form reflecting the soft light of the chamber. The evidence he presented was damning. Honorable Council, the species known as humans have deceived us all. Our long-range observations suggested a Level 3 civilization, barely capable of interplanetary travel. But our deep space probes tell a different story. The holographic display activated, showing images that sent ripples of concern through the assembled counselors. Hidden bases on Mars and Venus, energy signatures that suggested manipulation of quantum fields, and most disturbing of all, evidence of human exploration vessels far beyond their solar system, disguised to appear as natural phenomena. They hide their capabilities, Zextal continued, his voice resonating with urgency. They maintain a facade of technological inferiority while secretly preparing for something. Our analysts believe they are planning an expansion that could threaten the very stability of the Imperium. Council leader Viram, ancient even by Imperial standards, leaned forward on her gravity throne. What you suggest, Admiral, is unprecedented. No species has ever successfully deceived our surveillance for so long. How certain are you of these findings? The Admiral's response was to play a recovered transmission. The image showed a human military facility on what appeared to be an asteroid in the Kuiper Belt. The humans there were testing weapons that, by all Imperial understanding, they shouldn't have been capable of conceiving for another century at least. The humans have another advantage, Zextal added grimly. They are aware of us, and have been for decades. While we watched them, thinking them primitive, they were studying us, learning our weaknesses, preparing. The council chamber erupted in concerned murmurs. The implications were staggering. The Imperium's entire strategy of gradual revelation and controlled first contact was based on the assumption of technological superiority. But if humans had managed to hide their true capabilities for so long, what else might they be concealing? There's more, Zextal continued, his crystalline form pulsing with barely contained anxiety. We've detected quantum resonance patterns suggesting they've achieved breakthrough in fields we considered theoretical. They may have weapons we cannot defend against. The council leader's decision was swift and unanimous. We cannot allow this deception to continue. A species capable of such subterfuge, possessing unknown military capabilities, poses too great a risk to Imperial security. Admiral Zextal, you are hereby authorized to take the Third Fleet. Show these humans the true might of the Imperium. They chose to hide in darkness. We shall bring them into the light. As the Admiral departed to prepare his fleet, none of the council members noticed the small smile that flickered across his aide's holographically disguised human features. Everything was proceeding exactly as Earth's strategic command had predicted. The Imperium's arrogance would be their undoing. The aide sent a quantum-encrypted message back to Earth. Operation Tirojayan Horasi Ionitoyoakidi. Imperial Fleet deploying. All humanites pari par favor Phase 2. In the depths of human space, hidden facilities hummed to life. Weapon systems that had been carefully concealed for decades powered up. Defense grids that appeared to be simple asteroid fields revealed their true nature. And in secure bunkers across Earth and its colonies, military commanders smiled grimly as they reviewed their long-prepared battle plans. The Imperium thought they were launching a preemptive strike against a primitive civilization that had grown too clever for its own good. They were about to discover just how wrong they were. Humanity hadn't been hiding out of fear. They had been waiting for this very moment. As Admiral Zextal's fleet began its deployment, Earth's quantum sensors tracked their every move. The humans' greatest advantage wasn't their hidden technology or their secret weapons. It was the fact that, for the first time in its long history, the Imperium was about to fight a war against an enemy that had spent decades preparing specifically for them. The stage was set. The Imperium's mighty fleet was coming to crush what they thought was an upstart civilization. They were about to learn why humans had a saying. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. Admiral Zextal stood on the command deck of the Imperial flagship, Eternal Dawn, watching as his fleet of 10,000 warships emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system. The sight was magnificent. A wall of crystalline vessels stretching across space, each one a masterpiece of Imperial engineering, designed to inspire awe and terror in equal measure. "Status report," he commanded, his crystalline form pulsing with anticipation. "All ships present and accounted for, Admiral," his executive officer responded. "No sign that the humans have detected our arrival. Their primitive scanning systems appear to be focused on their inner system." Zextal knew better. The humans had detected them the moment they began their hyperspace transit, but he maintained the pretense. Let his crew believe in their superiority. It would make the coming revelation all the more dramatic. "Launch the recognition probes," he ordered. "Standard Imperial protocol. Let's see how these humans react to our presence." The probes streaked across space, their quantum drives leaving trails of blue fire against the void. As they approached Earth's outer defense perimeter, disguised as a simple collection of navigation beacons, Zextal watched carefully. "Sir," his sensor officer called out, confusion evident in their harmonic voice. "The probes, they're not registering any defensive installations, just primitive satellites and debris fields." Of course they weren't. Zextal had seen the classified reports. Human stealth technology operated on principles the Imperium had never conceived of. They didn't try to hide their installations. They made them appear to be exactly what the enemy expected to see. The first sign that something was wrong came when 3 of the probes simply vanished. No explosion, no debris, no energy signature. They simply ceased to exist. "Multiple probe failures," the sensor officer reported, their crystalline form vibrating with concern. "Cause unknown. Requesting permission to launch secondary wave with enhanced scanning capabilities." Zextal granted permission, knowing what would happen. The second wave of probes made it exactly as far as the first before vanishing. But this time, their enhanced sensors transmitted a fraction of a second of data before their destruction. The tactical display came alive with warnings. What had appeared to be simple debris fields were revealing their true nature. Quantum signature readings that shouldn't have been possible from a Level 3 civilization. Energy patterns that defied Imperial understanding. "Admiral," his executive officer's voice carried a note of alarm. "We're detecting multiple anomalies throughout the system. The humans, they've built something in the Kuiper Belt. Something big." Before Zextal could respond, a transmission cut through every channel of Imperial communication. The holographic image that appeared on his command deck showed a human female in what appeared to be a military uniform. "Imperial fleet." She spoke in perfect Imperial standard, her voice calm and measured. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force. You have entered restricted space. Your presence here is a violation of multiple diplomatic protocols that your government claims to hold sacred. You have 30 seconds to begin retreat procedures." The bridge crew stared in shocked silence. This wasn't how first contact scenarios were supposed to play out. Primitive civilizations were supposed to be awed by the Imperial fleet, not issuing ultimatums. "Tactical analysis," Zextal commanded, maintaining his composure. "What are we facing?" The tactical officer's response was cut short as new sensor data flooded in. What they had dismissed as random asteroid clusters were transforming. Massive structures were emerging from their camouflaged states, revealing weapon systems unlike anything in the Imperial database. "Sir," his executive officer's voice cracked with disbelief, "the human bases on Mars and Venus, they're not bases. They're fortress worlds. The entire system is a fortress." The 30 seconds elapsed. Admiral Chen's image reappeared. Very well. You were warned. Her expression showed not fear or anger, but something far more terrifying. Quiet confidence. Across the solar system, humanity's hidden defenses awakened. The debris field around Earth rippled as cloaking fields dropped, revealing layers of defensive platforms. The supposedly primitive satellites revealed themselves to be nodes in a vast energy web, and from behind the sun emerged humanity's true fleet, ships that had been there all along waiting. All ships, battle formations, Zextal ordered, knowing it was already too late. The humans hadn't been preparing for a fight. They had prepared this battlefield long ago, and the Imperial fleet had just walked right into it. The first shot wasn't fired by either fleet. Instead, the very space around the Imperial armada began to change. The humans had spent decades seeding the outer system with quantum manipulators, devices that could alter the fundamental properties of spacetime itself. As his ships began reporting critical system failures, Zextal realized the truth. The humans hadn't been hiding their technology out of fear. They had been setting a trap, and the mighty Imperial fleet had just sprung it. The battle for Sol was about to begin, and it would change the galaxy forever. Deep within the Cheyenne Mountain complex, General Marcus Rodriguez watched the tactical display with quiet satisfaction. Decades of preparation were finally paying off. The Imperial fleet hung suspended in space, caught in quantum distortion fields that humanity had carefully positioned throughout the solar system. Status report on Operation Checkmate, he commanded, his voice steady despite the historic nature of the moment. Dr. Elena Volkov, head of Earth's Special Weapons Division, stepped forward. Her holographic display showed the intricate web of quantum manipulators that now surrounded the Imperial fleet. The trap is fully operational, General. The Imperials can't access their faster-than-light drives, and their conventional propulsion is operating at 30% efficiency at best. The room's massive display showed the true extent of humanity's preparations. What the Imperium had dismissed as primitive space development was actually the largest military deception operation in human history. Every satellite, every space station, every mining operation had been carefully designed to conceal its true purpose. They're attempting to break free of the quantum net, one of the tactical officers reported. Their ships are using some kind of crystalline resonance technology we haven't seen before. Rodriguez nodded. As expected, Dr. Volkov, initiate Phase 2. Across the solar system, humanity's hidden arsenal revealed itself. The mining operations on Europa transformed into massive energy projection platforms. The research stations orbiting Venus unveiled particle beam weapons that had been disguised as atmospheric sensors. Even the civilian communications network showed its true nature, a vast array of quantum entanglement nodes capable of coordinating military operations across the entire system instantaneously. "Sir," the communications officer called out, "we're receiving transmissions from the Imperial fleet. They're requesting parley." A grim smile crossed Rodriguez's face. "Put them through on the main screen. Let's hear what Admiral Zextal has to say." The Imperial Admiral's crystalline form appeared before them, his usual confidence notably diminished. "General Rodriguez." He spoke, using perfect English. "Perhaps we can discuss this situation like civilized beings." "Interesting choice of words, Admiral," Rodriguez replied. "Civilized beings typically don't launch unprovoked attacks on other species. But please continue. I'm curious to hear how you'll justify this invasion. The Imperium cannot allow a potentially hostile species to possess technology that could threaten galactic stability," Zextal declared, though his voice lacked conviction. Dr. Volkov stepped forward. "You mean you can't allow the existence of a species that's more advanced than you? That's what this is really about, isn't it? You discovered we had surpassed you, and you couldn't handle it." The tactical display updated, showing new information. The Imperial fleet was attempting to reconfigure their shields, trying to adapt to the quantum distortions. It was a futile effort. Humanity had spent years studying Imperial technology, learning every weakness, every limitation. "Admiral," Rodriguez said, his voice carrying the weight of authority, "let me be clear about your situation. Those quantum disruption fields aren't just restricting your movement. They're actively suppressing your ship's crystalline matrix. In approximately 10 minutes, your entire fleet will begin to experience catastrophic system failures." Zextal's form flickered, a sign of distress in his species. "Impossible. No civilization could develop such technology without you knowing about it," Rodriguez finished. "That was rather the point, Admiral. While you watched our public space program, dismissed our primitive technology, we were learning everything about you. Your crystalline technology is impressive, but it has fundamental limitations that we discovered decades ago." The display showed the Imperial ships starting to lose cohesion. Their crystalline structures, the pride of Imperial engineering, were proving to be their greatest weakness against humanity's quantum weapons. "Your ships are powered by crystalline matrices that channel quantum energy," Dr. Volkov explained, almost professorial in her tone. "We discovered how to disrupt those matrices 20 years ago. Everything you're seeing now, the defensive platforms, the weapon systems, the quantum manipulators, they were all designed specifically to counter Imperial technology." Rodriguez watched as the first Imperial ships began to power down, their crystalline structures unable to maintain cohesion under the quantum assault. "You have a choice, Admiral. You can surrender now, or we can demonstrate exactly what happens when your ship's quantum matrices completely destabilize. I should warn you, our simulations suggest it would be quite spectacular." The command center fell silent as they waited for Zextal's response. The mighty Imperial fleet, pride of the galaxy, hung powerless in space, caught in a trap centuries in the making. This moment would reshape the balance of power in the galaxy forever, and everyone in that mountain bunker knew it. Finally, Zextal spoke, his voice carrying the weight of historic defeat. "What are your terms, General?" Rodriguez smiled. The real victory wasn't in defeating the Imperial fleet. It was in what would come next. "Let's discuss how we're going to reshape the galaxy, Admiral. I think you'll find that humanity has some interesting ideas about galactic governance." Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the command center of the EDF Hyperion, Earth's most advanced warship, though until today it had masqueraded as a simple orbital research station. The Imperial fleet's surrender was only the beginning. She knew better than to trust the Imperium's word. "Multiple energy spikes detected in the Imperial fleet," her tactical officer reported. "They're trying to reactivate their weapon systems." Chen had expected this. The Imperium had never surrendered in its 10,000-year history. They wouldn't start now. "Execute Operation Thunderstrike," she commanded. "All ships, battle positions." Across the solar system, humanity's true military might emerged from hiding. What appeared to be civilian cargo ships shed their disguises, revealing sleek warships bristling with weapons. Asteroid mining stations transformed into battle platforms. Even the supposedly primitive space debris around Earth coalesced into a deadly defense grid. "Admiral Zextal," Chen broadcast across all channels, "your attempts to reactivate your weapons have violated the terms of surrender. Consequently, we will now demonstrate why humanity chose to hide its capabilities for so long. The first wave of human attacks wasn't kinetic or energy-based. Instead, quantum information packets streamed across space, targeting the Imperial fleet's crystalline computer cores. Years of studying Imperial technology had revealed their greatest weakness, their absolute reliance on quantum crystalline computing. "Sir, the enemy flagship is experiencing massive system failures," reported Commander Jackson, Chen's executive officer. "Their quantum matrices are collapsing faster than they can compensate." The Imperial fleet's formation began to break apart as ships lost power and control. Some captains, realizing the futility of their situation, powered down their vessels in surrender. Others, driven by pride or desperation, attempted to fight back. An Imperial cruiser, its crystalline hull glowing with accumulated energy, launched a barrage of quantum torpedoes at Earth. The attack never reached its target. The seemingly random debris field around the planet revealed its true nature, a quantum interference network that caught the torpedoes and dissolved them into harmless energy. "Launch the Phantoms," Chen ordered. The pride of Earth's hidden fleet, the Phantom-class vessels were humanity's masterpiece of military deception. Until now, they had existed only as ghost signatures in Imperial sensor logs, deliberate leaks meant to be dismissed as sensor glitches. The Phantoms materialize around the Imperial fleet, their quantum drives allowing them to shift between normal space and a parallel dimension that humanity had discovered decades ago. To the Imperials, it appeared as if ships were emerging from nowhere, attacking from impossible angles, and disappearing before they could be targeted. "Admiral," her science officer called out, "we're detecting quantum cascade failures throughout the Imperial fleet. Their attempts to break free are only accelerating the process." Chen watched as the mighty Imperial ships began to break apart, their crystalline structures unable to maintain cohesion under the sustained quantum assault. It wasn't just a military victory. It was a demonstration of how completely humanity had outmaneuvered the galaxy's greatest power. "Message from General Rodriguez," the communications officer announced. "The quantum suppression field is reaching critical levels. We need to decide what to do with the Imperial fleet before their ships start breaking down completely." Chen opened a channel to all vessels, both human and Imperial. "This is Admiral Chen. To all Imperial vessels, your ships will begin experiencing catastrophic structural failures in approximately 5 minutes. You can either accept emergency quantum stabilization from our ships, which will require your complete surrender and cooperation, or you can take your chances with the collapse of your quantum matrices. Choose quickly." The response was immediate. Across the battlefield, Imperial ships began powering down their remaining systems, accepting the quantum stabilization fields projected by human vessels. The proud Imperium, which had never known defeat, was surrendering not just to superior firepower, but to superior science and strategy. "Admiral," Commander Jackson reported, "we're detecting a power spike from the Imperial flagship. They're activating their self-destruct sequence." Chen's response was immediate. "Target the flagship with a temporal stasis field. Let's show them one more thing they didn't know we could do." The Hyperion's temporal projectors, technology that the Imperium had considered theoretically impossible, enveloped Zextal's flagship in a bubble of frozen time. The self-destruct sequence, along with everyone and everything aboard the massive vessel, simply stopped. "Open a channel to Admiral Zextal," Chen commanded. When the Imperial Admiral's image appeared, frozen in time but still aware, she allowed herself a small smile. "Now then, Admiral, shall we discuss the real terms of surrender? I believe you'll find that humanity's capacity for both destruction and mercy extends far beyond what you imagined possible." 1 month after the Battle of Seoul, the galaxy was still reeling from the implications of humanity's victory. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council, once the exclusive domain of the Imperium, now hosted representatives from Earth for the first time. But they weren't there as supplicants or new members. They were there to reshape the very foundations of galactic society. Dr. Elena Volkov stood before the assembled representatives of 1,000 worlds, her presence a stark reminder of how completely humanity had upended the established order. Behind her, holographic displays showed the remnants of the Imperial fleet, now being studied by human scientists in the Sol system. "Distinguished representatives," she began, her voice carrying across the vast chamber, "we are not here to join your Imperium. We are here to help you understand why it must change." The chamber erupted in murmurs and protests. A crystalline elder, his form shimmering with agitation, rose to speak. "You deceived the entire galaxy. You hid your true nature, developed forbidden technologies, and now you presume to dictate terms." "We deceived no one," General Rodriguez countered, stepping forward to join Volkov. We simply allowed you to deceive yourselves. Your assumption of superiority, your belief that no primitive species could surpass you. That was your choice, not ours. The holographic displays shifted, showing new images. Human colonies far beyond Sol that had been hidden for decades, research stations studying phenomena the Imperium had deemed impossible, and most shockingly, evidence of human observers who had infiltrated every major civilization in the galaxy. While you watched our public space program, Volkov continued, we were watching you. We learned your strengths, your weaknesses, your prejudices. We saw how the Imperium maintained its power, not through superior technology or wisdom, but through the systematic suppression of any civilization that might challenge its authority. Admiral Chen, now representing Earth's military interests, activated a new holographic display. It showed the quantum manipulation technology that had so easily defeated the Imperial fleet. This technology, we developed it 30 years ago. But more importantly, we found evidence that at least 3 other species in this galaxy were on the verge of similar breakthroughs. The Imperium's response: mysterious accidents, unexplained disasters, entire research facilities suddenly vanishing. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The Imperium's 10,000 years of dominance hadn't been maintained by natural superiority, but by actively preventing other civilizations from reaching their full potential. We are not here to replace the Imperium as galaxy's rulers, Rodriguez declared. We are here to ensure that no single species ever holds that kind of power again. Humanity proposes a new galactic order, one based on cooperation and mutual advancement, rather than suppression and control. The holographic displays changed again, showing plans for a new type of galactic governance. Shared research initiatives, open technology exchange, democratic representation for all spacefaring civilizations, but most importantly, guaranteed autonomy for developing species to advance at their own pace, freed from external interference. Some of you are wondering why we reveal all this now, Volkov said, addressing the unspoken question. Why not simply take power for ourselves, as the Imperium did? The answer is simple. We remember what it was like to be the primitive species, looked down upon by those who thought themselves superior. We choose a different path. A new figure approached the podium, the former Imperial Admiral Zextal, now serving as a liaison between humanity and the Imperium's former leadership. I have seen humanity's power firsthand, he declared, his crystalline form resonating with emotion. But more importantly, I have seen their wisdom. They could have destroyed us. Instead, they offer us partnership. The next few hours saw intense debate as representatives from across the galaxy grappled with humanity's proposals. Some were outraged, others intrigued, but all were forced to confront a new reality. The age of imperial dominance was over. As the session drew to a close, Dr. Volkov made one final announcement. To demonstrate our commitment to this new era, humanity will be sharing a portion of our quantum manipulation technology with all member worlds, not as a weapon, but as a tool for advancement. Let this be the beginning of a true galactic civilization, one where all species can reach for the stars without fear of suppression. The galaxy would never be the same. The species that everyone had dismissed as primitive had not only defeated the mighty Imperium, but had done so without destroying them. Instead, humanity had chosen to use its victory to forge a new path, one that promised a future of unprecedented cooperation and advancement. As the council session ended, Admiral Chen turned to General Rodriguez with a slight smile. Think they'll ever forgive us for hiding for so long? Rodriguez watched as the various representatives filed out, already forming new alliances and discussions. They will when they realize we didn't just save ourselves from the Imperium. We saved them all from a future of eternal stagnation. Sometimes the greatest victories aren't won through force of arms, but through the courage to imagine a better way. And so began a new chapter in galactic history, written by the species that had pretended to be primitive while preparing to change everything. Humanity had not just won a battle. They had transformed the very nature of galactic civilization itself. "We are not here to replace the Imperium as galaxy's rulers," Rodriguez declared. "We are here to ensure that no single species ever holds that kind of power again. Humanity proposes a new galactic order, one based on cooperation and mutual advancement, rather than suppression and control." The holographic displays changed again, showing plans for a new type of galactic governance. Shared research initiatives, open technology exchange, democratic representation for all spacefaring civilizations, but most importantly, guaranteed autonomy for developing species to advance at their own pace, free from external interference. "Some of you are wondering why we reveal all this now," Volkov said, addressing the unspoken question. "Why not simply take power for ourselves, as the Imperium did?" The answer is simple. We remember what it was like to be a primitive species, looked down upon by those who thought themselves superior. We choose a different path. A new figure approached the podium, the former Imperial Admiral Zextal, now serving as a liaison between humanity and the Imperium's former leadership. "I have seen humanity's power firsthand," he declared, his crystalline form resonating with emotion. "But more importantly, I have seen their wisdom. They could have destroyed us. Instead, they offer us partnership." The next few hours saw intense debate as representatives from across the galaxy grappled with humanity's proposals. Some were outraged, others intrigued, but all were forced to confront a new reality. The age of imperial dominance was over. As the session drew to a close, Dr. Volkov made one final announcement. "To demonstrate our commitment to this new era, humanity will be sharing a portion of our quantum manipulation technology with all member worlds, not as a weapon, but as a tool for advancement. Let this be the beginning of a true galactic civilization, one where all species can reach for the stars without fear of suppression." The galaxy would never be the same. The species that everyone had dismissed as primitive had not only defeated the mighty Imperium, but had done so without destroying them. Instead, humanity had chosen to use its victory to forge a new path, one that promised a future of unprecedented cooperation and advancement. As the council session ended, Admiral Chen turned to General Rodriguez with a slight smile. "Think they'll ever forgive us for hiding for so long?" Rodriguez watched as the various representatives filed out, already forming new alliances and discussions. "They will when they realize we didn't just save ourselves from the Imperium. We saved them all from a future of eternal stagnation." Sometimes, the greatest victories aren't won through force of arms, but through the courage to imagine a better way. And so began a new chapter in galactic history, written by the species that had pretended to be primitive while preparing to change everything. Humanity had not just won a battle, they had transformed the very nature of galactic civilization itself.